Oh, gods. I wonder what their names were. I see they haven't been forgotten, and the locals still worship them. I can't really blame them seeing the state of this land. What happened to you?
I'm in big trouble.
How so?
I lost a letter. A very important letter. I was supposed to deliver it to my master by tonight.
What was in the letter?
I have no idea what it said. For one thing, it was a secret, and for another, I can't read. But it was my master's beloved who sent it. That's why it was so important.
Oh, so it could just as easily have been a lewd verse.
I don't really care what was in it. The point is, I don't have it.
Do you know where you might have lost it?
I haven't the faintest idea. It must have slipped out somewhere along the way.
Would you like me to help you look for it?
There's no point now. I've been on the road for 2 days as it is. We'll never make it by tonight.
You should have been more careful with it. Losing the one thing you're supposed to deliver.
I know. So I forgot to check my bag this morning, all right? But now it's gone, and I'm fucked.
I have to be going. I hope you find the letter.
Me too. Because if I don't, I'm in for a lashing.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Wait! I have an idea. Punch me in the face.
What?
Smack me in the gob. I'll say I was ambushed on the way and they took the letter.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. I'd rather take a couple of punches from you than a lashing from my master. I could tell you to stop when I've had enough. But he wouldn't. So you get why it's better for me to be slapped around by you, right?
Very well then. Defend yourself. Or not. It's up to you. You ready?
I am.
You're no match for me!
Cut the bullshit and fight!
You can't take me!
We'll see about that!
All right?
Oh, that was rough.
Do you think that's enough?
I definitely. I'm sore all over. Oh, my mouth most of all.
Glad to be of help then. Take care.
What do you want, you yokel? Speak up or get lost.
I heard you could use a helping hand at the forge.
I could. My last two hands, well, they're not worth mentioning. And what with the wedding coming up, the work is piling up. What do they call you?
Henry.
I'm Radovan. You should know, Henry. The blacksmithing isn't for everyone. Have you done it before?
Yeah. I basically grew up in the forge. My father was a swordsmith, and not just any. He even forged swords for the nobility.
For the nobility, eh? Well, that kind of experience would come in very handy for me indeed. As it happens, I have to forge a wedding present for young Lord Semine. A fine sword.
So you'll take me on?
Hold your horses. I'll have to try you out first. You could forge me a hunting sword as a test, so I can see if you can make a straight blade. That shouldn't give you much trouble if your father was a swordsmith, should it?
Sure thing. I can get started right away.
Great. Find some iron and get started then.
Iron?
You can't make a sword out of butter, but if you don't have your own stuff, you can get everything from the chest in my forge. Where are I? Those pliers. Go over to the anvil and let's get started. Furnace is cold now. Give it a practice try. Some things, like swords, are too long to fit in the fire. You have to heat it up bit by bit. Try poking it around for a bit. Now get the furnace nice and hot. There's a lever above it. Give it a pull. It works the bellows. Tell the temperature by the color, but you won't be able to tell when it's in the fire. You have to take it out from time to time and take a look. Try it out. See? It's the color of straw, which is what you want. And you heated the whole thing up. Nicely done. Now you can go straight to the anvil. Try moving the sword along the anvil so you can get the hang of it. Now take the hammer and try hitting it a few times. See the sparks? That's the sign of a good strike. The more sparks, the better. Also, you can hammer with different degrees of power. A stronger hit will do more, but it'll tire you out fast. Try giving it a few blows, as hard as you can, so I can see how strong you are. That's got a nice ring to it. Of course, if it was all about hitting an anvil with a hammer, any dolt could do it. You've got to hammer the workpiece evenly. One hit next to the other. Very nice. You're doing just fine. But when I say evenly, I mean it. A sword has two sides, like a lot of other things, including myself. Turn it over and continue on the other side. Nice. Now try forging it on both sides. The closer it is to being finished, the more it will take on the shape you want. It'll cool off soon anyway. It's cooled now. You can't do it all in one go. You've got to put it back in the furnace from time to time. Sometimes you've got to go there and back all day. But it's all part of the craft. Now, get back to the forge and heat it all up again, like before. The whole thing is heated up now, so come over to the anvil. Hear that? Besides the sparks, you can tell a good strike by the sound it makes. See how it's taking on the right shape? That's how you can tell it's almost finished. Now, I've got a piece of advice for you. Hammer to a rhythm. When I hammer a piece to a beat, the work goes by easier. Sometimes I'll whistle to myself to keep the rhythm going. That's a nice whistling. A spark. There you go. You've got it finished. All that's left is to temper it, and the sword will be done. The rest is just tweaking.
Did you hear about what happened at the big wheel? At the mill? Yeah. The place by the Gera off the stream.
Right. Let's have a look. Very nice work. Your father taught you the trade well.
He'd certainly be happy to hear that.
If you carry on hammering as well as you did today, you've definitely got a job here. Even so, keep in mind, it's all about making sure every strike does its job. That's why you can't let it get cold, or keep striking the same spot. If you work evenly, each strike falling right next to the last one, you can't go wrong. Got that? Or is there something else you want to ask about?
What good does it do me to whistle while I work?
It makes you work to a rhythm. You won't get tired so quickly, and the iron feels it.
How do I know a good strike from a bad one?
By the sparks that fly up, and by the ring. It rings out with a different sound when you do it right.
What's the right way to heat up the workpiece?
Do it till it turns the color of straw. Ideally, the color should be the same everywhere, if your forging's going to be even. The main thing is, don't work it cold. You just ruin it. But don't overheat it either. As soon as sparks start to fly off it in the furnace, take it out.
Why should I forge evenly?
If you keep hammering the same spot, you'll never finish it. You'll just fuck it up. But jumping from one end to the other ain't a good idea neither. You'd end up working unevenly. The best thing to do is aim each strike next to the one before.
How will I know it's finished?
Notice the shape. The closer you are to finishing, the more precise the shape it will have.
Thanks. That's all I need to know.
You can sleep in the chamber by the woodshed. And there's a chest where you can keep your things. And of course, you can use the forge anytime you want. Any questions?
Where can I get materials?
You can buy some essentials from me. But if you want to make a fancy sword with lots of ornamentation, you'll have to look elsewhere. This is just a village, you know. The locals ain't after luxury. They can't afford it neither.
What can I do with the items I've forged?
Well, you can sell them, though you probably won't have much luck around here. But I'll happily buy some of the nicer things from you.
Where exactly is my bed?
At the side of the house, there are 2 doors and a wheelbarrow between them. You go in by the rear door. next to the woodshed. And you can put your things in the chest there. Don't worry, nobody'll steal them.
What now?
What do you think? You're not going to be idle. I'll find you some work to do right away. You're pretty good at swords, but what the locals really need is axes and horseshoes. Right, here are some simple drawings that show what they're both supposed to look like. And some iron. You can get down to it right away.
Just like that? You aren't going to help me?
Sacre, lad. I chose you because you already know a thing or two. I'm not going to look over your shoulder all bloody day. You take care of these smaller jobs. Forge away as long as you're able, and then sell it all. Once you've made some coin and feel like being out in the open again, I'll give you some more interesting work. What can I do for you? It's about those two idiot hands of mine, Venser and Franzi. They drove off with a cart full of goods towards Semine, and they never came back.
Do you want me to find them?
Just so. But more importantly, I want to know where my cart ended up, and especially the cargo. Go to Semine and find out what the bloody hell happened.
Have you any idea which way they might have gone? I could have a look along the way. Maybe their cart broke down or something.
There's only one road to Semine that can take a cart. It leads from Takov to Truskovitz, and then to the south. But I've got a bad feeling they got up to no good in Semine.
Those two hands of yours, Venser and Franzi, what can you tell me about them?
Can't tell you much. They're wandering laborers. I don't think they wanted to stay here with me for long. But these days, I can use all the help I can get.
Were they suspicious in any way?
No, they worked hard. They ain't no slackers. And I can't say that about everyone.
What was the cart carrying?
Bugger and bollocks. All sorts of stuff. I'd say Lord Semine wants to rearm his garrison with new equipment. There were some hunting swords, bastard swords, crossbow bolts. I also fixed the trigger on young Semine's crossbow, and some kitchen stuff. Sacks of charcoal, all sorts of things. There's a good month's work in that cartload.
All right, I'll get right on it then.
Go ahead. And if you find that pair of fools drunk, kick their asses for me.
Gladly. I'll kick some sobriety into them.
What's that? Stop a while, my good man.
God be with you. God be with you, noble sir. I'm Henry of Skalitz, and I serve the Lord of Lipa.
Sir Kunesh of Belevitz. Poor as a church mouse, but a free man once again.
A free man again? What happened to you, Kunesh?
Ah, the greatest of misfortunes befell me. Figuring out this war is a job and a half.
Aye. This feuding between the royal brothers is damn muddled, all right.
Precisely. I gambled on Jobst over Sigismund a few years back. Only his Hungarian cavalry soon routed us, and I spent 2 years in captivity.
You were held captive? What was it like?
Hardly wondrous, I'll tell you that. But what irritated me most was being powerless to do anything. It's all those blasted Hungarians' fault. They can shove my silver up their arse and then lick it and kiss it for all I care.
I totally agree. Sigismund is plundering the kingdom and torching the castles of lords loyal to King Wenceslas.
What a bloody awful affair this war is. In my day, men would fight with honor and integrity, not stab each other in the back.
My sentiments exactly, Sir Kunesh.
Why, young man, I see you stand with Wenceslas, eh? I tell you, though, he's the one who dragged our land into this mess.
How so? It was the Hungarians who captured you, wasn't it?
Because I was a fool. But I've realized that the only competent king here is Sigismund.
I disagree with you, sir. Sigismund is a scoundrel who will do our land no good. Again?
That's what often happens in war. Still, for the good of the country, I'll side with Sigismund in the end, especially considering what a drunkard and fornicator that brother of his is.
Wenceslas stands up for his people.
Wenceslas can't even see the tip of his nose, and things are only getting worse.
Sigismund's no king. He's nothing but a murderous thief. I challenge you to a duel, sir.
What? You want to fight me? You're not a noble, but what do I care? Making you skip and jump will amuse me, whelp.
Fucking hell! Come on! Stop! Come on! Again!
Well, lad, it was a good fight, but you have been bested. You fought honorably, but you lost. Next time, be more careful who you challenge, you hear?
What happened to you?
Please, help!
What happened to you?
I fell out of that bloody tree.
Why did you climb up there?
I thought I saw something shiny up there, like gold or something. But instead of finding treasure, I almost lost my life.
I'm no physician, but this needs bandaging.
But I won't get far in this state. Do you have anything to dress it? A rag or something?
Hold on, let me see. Here. You're lucky I'll carry around a pocket full of junk. Here, let me dress it for you.
Thank you. You're the first good thing to happen to me in a long while. You know, I was born under an unlucky star.
Stop feeling so sorry for yourself. Everyone has bad luck sometimes.
But I'm cursed with it. Even as a boy, I was always losing things. Constantly getting beaten up. And once I spent the whole summer laid up with some weird sickness. My parents spent everything they had on a healer who said he had the perfect cure.
See? That sounds like a bit of luck, doesn't it?
Well, it seemed that way. But when he went to get the cure, he was struck dead by lightning on the way. We couldn't afford another healer, so I was sick for 6 months.
But you survived. I call that pretty lucky.
You think? Then hear me out. I always wanted to buy myself a horse. I saved every groschen I earned. But it was never going to be enough. So I confided in my neighbor, and he said if I gave him all my coin, He'd win me twice as much down the tavern. He told me he could cheat the local drunks because he had weighted dice.
And you gave him the money?
That I did. And I never saw it or him again.
That's not bad luck. It's folly. People are bastards. You shouldn't be so trusting.
I'm not even finished yet. Since I couldn't buy a horse, I gave a groschen to a horse trader to let me ride one at least. But as we trotted through the woods, the nag's leg snaps. She was dead before I could fetch help. It took me 3 years to pay off that carcass. So I first lost money to a swindler, and then I had to buy a dead horse.
Still, it could have been worse. Everybody has setbacks.
You still don't get it, do you? All right, this will convince you. I like this girl down the way. But when I finally mustered the courage to talk to her, I found out she'd been poisoned by mushrooms the day before.
Yes, but...
Hang on, I'm not finished there. I found a dog. A nice little puppy. He'd follow me around, so I took him in and raised him. The moment he grew a full set of teeth, he bit me and ran off.
Right. Now this sounds like too much of a coincidence.
As he scampered off, the dog scattered a farmer's flock of sheep. As I helped him to round them up, I stumbled upon a pack of wolves. So I had one leg bit by a mongrel, and the other by a wolf. Only that wolf bite gets some dirt in it, and my whole leg goes black. I couldn't walk for a month.
All right, I see now.
My wife took care of me all that month. And just as I was getting better, she cooked some food in the pot and told me she had to go into town. She never came back.
What happened to her?
I have no idea. She just vanished. The thing is, she took all her stuff and all my money with her. So if you ask me, she flew the coop. And since then, it's all been downhill for me. As soon as I went out for the first time after my leg was healed, the bailiff grabbed me. He said 3 sheep from that flock had never been found, so I had to pay for them. But what with my darling wife pocketing all my coin, I ended up in the pillory.
Well, your life hasn't been all that easy, I'll grant you that. But you're not jinxed. You know why?
I'm all ears.
If you were, you'd have fallen down and nobody would have found you. But I happened by. Today was your lucky day.
You have a point there. It's true. Thanks, friend. I owe you one.
Don't cause any trouble. Got it?
Bloody hell.
God be with you.
So I says to him, "No, father, I haven't been fornicating. I've just been loving my neighbour."
Hey! You alright there, laddie?
Oh, you should have seen him. He went as red as a cardinal's hat. Aye. Hey, servant, bring some wine.
Me? I'm not a servant.
Oh, I know. Old Serene is saving supplies for the wedding later. But you didn't need to bother your wee head about that.
Look, I'm not from here.
Oh. I didn't give a fuck what you pray. You speak our language, do you not?
Well, Yarko, seems to me this fella doesn't know how to behave toward his betters.
The old man's hired hands. are lacking in manners. We'll soon fix that.
You're in for an ass kicking, you piece of shit!
Stop beating him!
I'll beat you to a bloody pulp!
You've no
Fucker!
chance against me!
Someone better hold me back. What are you doing? This is unbelievable. Go on, send him off in. Put him on his ass, the cunt. Sure, the swine.
Come on. Oh, you wee
What
bastard!
in the devil's name is fucking going on here?
What do you think's going on, Grandad? I'm teaching your people here how we do things.
Grandad?
Why, Grandad? An old captain like you probably still remember the flood.
True enough, Yurko. I am old. And I remember all sorts of things. Like you. When you were a little nipper running around here bare arse, with a ribbon in your hair, screaming out how you was Princess Sophie. Poor lad, hadn't a moment's peace from his big sisters.
What about that way?
Who in God's name are you?
Henry. The Takeoff blacksmith sent me. Radovan.
Blacksmith, eh? Then you'll have some explaining to do. Come along and never mind that fool Yurko. Young Samin's getting married, so we has to put up with his kin from Moravia.
We'll be needing a dozen geese. And I must tell Vashek to get 3 pigs ready for slaughter. And the carters will have to be sent to Yetchin to get at least a peck of poppy seed for cakes. And gingerbread spices. Oh, and wine, too. It's almost all gone, what we bought only last week.
Enter!
Sorry to intrude, sir. This is Henry, blacksmith Radovan's hand.
Oh, excellent. Dorothy, leave us now. Just make sure that there's plenty of everything so long as it doesn't cost too much.
But, sir...
Not another word! Leave us! So Radovan sent you alone. Who's going to unload it all? It's a whole cartload.
Yeah, Radovan sent me, sir, but not with the goods. The thing is, he's missing his cart, along with the carter in his hands.
What? But they never came here. Are you telling me they got lost?
I couldn't tell you what happened to them, sir, but it's my job to find them.
There are all sorts of vermin roaming the countryside.
Oh, no
sir.
need to imagine the worst right off, gnarly. Anyway, I need the load from that cart, so saddle up your old nag and we'll ride out, Captain. I could do with a breath of fresh air. I've had it up to the eyeballs with counting geese and pies.
What about Henry here, sir?
Well, what about him?
We could use an extra pair of hands. You know how my shoulder's acting up. Yurko is shit-faced, and your son...
The older has work to do. All right, take Henry with you if you want. Just so long as he doesn't slow us down.
Thank you, sir. So, lad, you going with us? I hope you're happy about it.
Yeah. I'll be glad to help you.
Oh, you reckon we can't manage on our own?
No, that's not how I meant it.
Take it easy, son. I'm only yanking your pizzle. By the way,
The fellas at the gate say you came here on foot.
Yeah, I did.
Christ above! And how are you going to ride with us? On the back of my saddle? You're a bit big for that, ain't ya? And I'm a bit too old.
You got a stud farm here, don't you? Couldn't I borrow one of your horses?
Aye. And then we'd never see hide nor hair of you, nor the animal again. We don't lend horses. But you're in luck. Our groom brought in a grey nag not long ago. Tell him you've got to ride out with us, and he'll give it to you for a decent price.
All right. Thanks.
Well, that should be that. Unless you've got any more questions.
Actually, there is something I'd like to ask about. This Yurko and his mates, who are they?
They're Lord Samin's kin. They're fine as long as they don't get too much booze inside them.
Only they're from Moravia, so they're never far from the booze.
But what can I tell you, lad? Each to himself. Besides, they stick with the family when push comes to shove. And you can't say that about everyone.
I'd like to go and see that wedding.
Wouldn't we all, lad? And what would you do there?
Well, I heard Lord von Berghoff will be at the wedding, and I need to speak with him.
Son, I don't know if you're serious or yanking my pizzle. Anyways, you're Radovan's hand, ain't ya? He'll be coming to the wedding. He's making a wedding gift for the groom. Stick with him, and maybe he'll take you with him.
And you, sir? What is it you do?
Well, son, I wonder if I haven't made a mistake about you. If you haven't figured me out by now, you can't be very bright.
No, I just meant, what exactly is it you do for Lord Semin? And your name isn't exactly very common.
I'm the captain here, and I'm sure I don't have to tell you what a captain does. As for my name, it's a nickname Lord Samin's grandpa gave me. May he rest in peace. When I joined his service as a young fella, I took my Nardi club with me. Wouldn't use anything else. I was used to it. And more than once helped me to, well, win an argument. I broke many a hard skull with it. And it's still in one piece. We've been together so long, we even share the same name.
You're lucky you didn't turn out to be Captain Knob.
Or Captain Headcracker. You're right.
We should probably get going.
That we should. But it's as dark as sin. Come back in the morning. If you want, stay here. You'll get a bit of grub in the kitchen and you can sleep in the barn.